What if everything we know about human history is only the most recent echo of something far older, something that existed long before our species ever walked the earth? What if humanity is not the first intelligent civilization to rise from this planet's soil, but simply the latest to awaken, build, and eventually forget? It's an idea that sounds like science fiction, but it's a question some of the world's most respected scientists have begun to take seriously. It's called the Silurian Hypothesis, and it dares to ask whether another civilization might have existed millions of years ago, long before our own, and if so, whether we could ever find its traces today. To grasp how extraordinary this question is, imagine the full timeline of Earth's history compressed into a single year. The planet forms on January 1st. Life begins in late March. Dinosaurs roam by mid-December. Humans appear only in the last few seconds before midnight on December 31st. All of human civilization, from the pyramids to modern cities, fits within the final heartbeat of that last second. So if another civilization rose and fell even a few million years ago, its entire history could have come and gone long before ours began, leaving behind almost nothing that time has not already erased. In 2018, NASA's Gavin Schmidt and astrophysicist Adam Frank published a paper that sent shockwaves through the scientific world. Their question was simple, yet radical. If an industrial civilization had existed on Earth millions of years ago, would we be able to detect it today? They called their thought experiment the Silurian Hypothesis, a name borrowed from a science fiction race in Doctor Who ruled Earth long before humanity. But this was no science fiction story. Their approach was grounded in geology, chemistry, and the study of deep time. They weren't asking whether such a civilization had existed, but whether one could have existed, and if so, what traces it might have left behind. At first, the idea seems absurd. Modern humans have only been around for about 300,000 years. Our industrial era barely spans 300. Civilization, as we know it, is young and fragile. Yet Earth is over 4.5 billion years old. That means our entire story, every empire, every invention, every technological triumph, occupies the tiniest speck of Earth's history. The odds that we are the only intelligent species to have ever emerged on such an ancient planet seem, at the very least, worth questioning. And if one existed long before us, the evidence would have had to survive the most powerful forces imaginable: erosion, volcanism, tectonic drift, and time itself. Time is the great destroyer. Even our greatest monuments, our skyscrapers, our satellites, our cities are temporary. Within a few centuries of neglect, they would crumble. Within a few thousand years, they'd be swallowed by vegetation, sand, and the sea. Within a million years, they'd be gone entirely, buried under new layers of rock or erased by glacial movement. After 10 million years, continents themselves would have shifted. Mountains would have risen where oceans once were. In the language of geology, human civilization is a blink. So if an advanced society had risen 50 million years ago, its physical remains, its buildings, machines, and tools would almost certainly be lost. Yet not all traces vanish. Some changes made by intelligent life can persist in the geological record for eons. Consider what humanity has already done to Earth. We've filled the atmosphere with carbon dioxide, changed the chemistry of oceans, scattered radioactive isotopes through nuclear testing, and left layers of plastic and metal across the globe. These are signals that future geologists, millions of years from now, would unmistakably recognize as artificial. They would never find our cities or bodies, but they would find our fingerprints, the Anthropocene layer, marking a moment when intelligence transformed the planet. If an ancient civilization once existed, their fingerprints might still be buried somewhere beneath our feet. Perhaps in the chemical composition of rocks or sediments, subtle irregularities, unexpected isotopes, strange metallic concentrations, or sudden climate shifts could hint at artificial origins. For instance, some geological layers show sharp spikes in carbon levels, resembling what we see today due to industrial emissions. Most scientists explain these as volcanic events or natural climate fluctuations. But what if, in some cases, they were signs of industry? It's impossible to say with certainty, but the question itself reshapes how we see Earth, not as a static world, but as a palimpsest, written over and erased again by time. Throughout history, strange discoveries have occasionally challenged our understanding of what's possible. Deep in South African mines, geologists have found metallic spheres with perfectly carved grooves, encased in rock over 2 billion years old. In Pennsylvania, miners uncovered round metallic objects embedded in coal dated hundreds of millions of years back. Mainstream science attributes these to natural formations, geological quirks formed by pressure and mineral deposition, but their precision has always stirred curiosity. If nature could create such objects, what else could it mimic? And if something artificial were ever found, would we even recognize it after millions of years of transformation? Even our myths seem to whisper about forgotten epics. Across cultures, Egyptian, Greek, Hindu, and Mesoamerican, there are stories of lost civilizations wiped away by floods or fire. Plato's account of Atlantis, though often dismissed as allegory, may echo deeper truths, that humanity senses instinctively that it has risen before and fallen before. Ancient Indian texts like the Mahabharata speak of weapons of unimaginable power and flying machines that lit up the skies. Could these be memories of older, advanced societies passed down through myth? Or are they the timeless reflection of our own fear, that greatness always comes before collapse? Science, of course, demands evidence, and the Silurian Hypothesis is not about proving lost worlds. It's about expanding the way we look for them. When we examine the Earth's layers, we can read its autobiography. Shifts in oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, and other elements tell the story of life and death, growth and extinction. In these records, scientists have noticed moments where conditions changed suddenly, as if a force other than nature had intervened. Some spikes in metal concentrations mirror modern industrial outputs. Others show temperature surges and mass die-offs that could, in theory, result from widespread technological impact. These are not proofs, but they are puzzles. And that's where the hypothesis becomes most powerful. It's not a hunt for lost cities, but a mirror for us to look into. Because if Earth has hosted intelligent life before, and we can't find a trace of it, then we must accept a sobering truth. Intelligence doesn't guarantee survival. A species can reach unimaginable heights, conquer energy and matter, build wonders, and still disappear, erased by time or by its own hand. That realization reframes our place in the cosmos. Perhaps every advanced species must face this trial, the moment when its technology surpasses its wisdom. Some survive, most maybe do not. That could be the answer to the Fermi paradox, the reason our galaxy remains silent. Civilizations rise, burn bright, and vanish, leaving behind only subtle scars for future archaeologists to puzzle over. If so, then our current age, our Anthropocene, isn't just a mark of progress, it's a warning. The same signatures that might one day identify us as intelligent are the same ones that could signal our destruction. Rising CO2 levels, mass extinctions, and nuclear waste. These are not the footprints of eternity. They are the shadows of a species racing against itself. If another civilization once walked this path, they may have reached the same point of crisis and failed to cross it. Maybe they, too, unleashed forces they couldn't control. Maybe they changed their climate, exhausted their resources, and fell into silence. And now, millions of years later, we are unknowingly repeating their mistakes. It's possible that their story lives on in more than rocks. Perhaps some of humanity's most enduring legends, those of gods descending from the heavens, of ancient knowledge suddenly bestowed upon mankind, are distant echoes of that earlier age. Maybe fragments of their wisdom survived cataclysms, carried forward by simpler beings, woven into our myths, our symbols, our DNA of culture. Or perhaps somewhere deep underground, there lies a message, an artifact placed intentionally, waiting to be found by whoever comes next. We ourselves are already sending such messages. The Voyager probes carrying golden records into interstellar space, data etched into crystals, and DNA to outlast the ages. Would it be so strange if another species once did the same? The Silurian Hypothesis, in the end, isn't about proving ancient aliens or rewriting history. It's about humility. It reminds us that Earth is old, beyond comprehension, and that our dominance is temporary. Every mountain, every ocean, every living thing we see is the product of endless cycles of birth and erasure. Civilizations, no matter how powerful, are fragile. The planet will forget us, as it has forgotten all who came before. In 1,000,000 years, our cities will be dust. In 10 million, even our species may be gone. But the Earth will go on, reshaping itself, preparing for the next to rise. And that might be the most haunting part of all. Because if intelligence arises naturally from evolution, it may do so again. Maybe in another 50 million years, new beings, descendants of octopuses or crows, will stand where we stand now, wondering about the strange chemical traces left by a vanished civilization that once dominated the planet. They will sift through rock layers, find plastic microfibers or radioactive isotopes, and ask the same question we are asking today. Were we the first, or merely the latest? When we look at the stars, we often imagine being the first explorers, the pioneers of intelligence in a lonely universe. But what if the universe itself is ancient beyond measure, and we are simply one more flicker in an endless chain of awakenings? What if intelligence blooms again and again across worlds, only to erase itself and begin anew? Perhaps that is the true rhythm of creation, not progress, but cycles, each one rising from the ashes of the last. If there truly was a civilization before us, then its greatest gift to us is not its technology or ruins, but its silence. That silence is a warning written across time, that knowledge without wisdom leads to extinction, that progress without humility devours itself, and that no species, no matter how advanced, can defy the laws of nature forever. The Earth has all the time in the world. We do not. So the next time you look at the stars or feel the ground beneath your feet, remember this. Everything you see may have been seen before by eyes long turned to dust. The oceans may have reflected other cities, now lost. The winds may have carried the voices of another people, now forgotten. And deep beneath the layers of stone and silence, the Earth may still be whispering their story, a story we are only beginning to rediscover. Because perhaps, just perhaps, we are not the beginning at all. We are merely the continuation of a mystery as old as time itself, the story of the forgotten Earth.